And welcome back to Jeff Koinange Live right here at Citizen Television. A most dynamic conversation with a dynamic duo. Look at him sitting on that comfortable couch. I love it. He times it. Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja, Makueni Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. Senator Sakaja, how do you time it? How do you know when we're back on air?
I hear that sound. But Jeff, I've invited you home so many times. You need to come for Nyama Bana.
I'm going to come, and that background is looking pretty spiffy there.
I promise you, we won't get arrested.
Promise not to any lounge, Jeff.
Should I take his word for it? Or
don't go to any lounge.
Be
careful.
At some lounge somewhere.
And I'm taking to Kilimani in the morning.
And my lawyer Mutula will join us. So we're good.
Senator, you walked into that one, man. You walked into that one.
Right into it. Don't worry, I'll Tashika Mutula too.
Eyes just wide open. All right, Senator Sakaja, let me ask you this. Before the break, I asked both you gentlemen to dissolve or not to dissolve Bunge. You both said a unanimous no. Senator Sakaja, why no?
Number one, I think you know in the Bible, there's a story of Samson. And Samson, just before he died, his eyes had been gouged out, and he stood, and it's in the book of Judges. Jeff, I read the Bible. I don't only go to lounges, and he held two pillars, and he asked God, "Give me the final strength to take everything down, because I'm going down. We're going down with everyone." That looks like what, respectfully, the CJ is doing. Because, Jeff, there is a petition, actually two petitions before the High Court, to be had on the 7th of October, that are addressing the issue of whether the ruling, the order by Justice Mativo, which was done in March of 2017, when there was the 11th Parliament that had failed to pass the two-third gender rule, applies to this Parliament. Where is the rush? You know, the Chief Justice, ideally, and Mtula is the advocate of the High Court here. He'd give us better insights. But the Chief Justice should have waited for that determination and to see if indeed that order applies to the 11th Parliament or to the 12th Parliament. Jeff, he's thrown very many things in the air. And yesterday I advised the State House Controller from the floor of the Senate to change the post office box of State House so that the letter is RTS, return to sender. Though I'm told it was sent also on WhatsApp. Jeff, throwing the country into disarray is not advisable. And I've seen the statement by the Right Honorable former Prime Minister Raila Odinga asking the President to consider all options. Many of us are ready, you know, if we call for an election. I think the people will decide, and that is not the issue. But the issue is, will that have solved the problem? What if Kenyans decide then, once you go to an election, then they only vote in men? You know, we should have found a solution, and maybe they should have come to the 12-member committee, and we have a formula, you know, just like this one. We'll get another formula to solve this thing out, because we should never look for the path of the highest and greatest resistance and the most pain, Jeff. And I know Parliament will go to court. I know there's some petitioners who've gone actually to revisit that matter, and we'll let them do. I am bound to the Constitution as a senator. I took an oath of office, and whatever the outcome is, but I think it was an unwise and premature move. Currently before the House, and Senator Mutula will elaborate.
Absolutely.
In the Senate has never had an opportunity to vote on this, and the Senate has a bill, an amendment bill, sponsored by Senator Mutula and Senator Faria, that is in the process. It's a second reading. You know, these moves, I believe, are premature. But at the end of the day, we must hold true fidelity to the Constitution. I'm not sure how many options the President has. The courts will pronounce themselves on that again. But I think that move was not in the best interests of the country.
Okay, Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr., you're an advocate of the High Court, like Senator Sakaja says. Without too much legalese, why no?
Jeff, this is, I'm holding the letter of the Chief Justice, and you can see the way I've highlighted it. I must say that this letter is extremely disappointing. This document prepared by the Chief Justice is extremely disappointing, and you can see the sort of highlights I've made on this. Because I expected, number one, under Article 261(7, the President of the Supreme Court and the Chief Justice should not put in the President of the Republic of Kenya in what I call utadu what moment. Because by sending such a letter to him and telling him you have no option other than dissolve Parliament without checking that certain minimal constitutional threshold things have been complied with is wrong. He says here that, and he puts it in inverted commas, the Speaker's contention that no order was transmitted to either Parliament or Chief Justice has no basis. The order of Constitution petition number 371 was made in the presence of Parliament's lawyers, and the 6 petitioners transmitted copies to the Chief Justice. Now, what are you talking about? I'm disappointed, Chief Justice, if you're watching. At the provisions of Article subclause 6 of 261 require you to ensure that Parliament receives. Parliament is the Speaker, is Senator Sakaja, Senator Mutula, and everybody else, the 416 of us. We are not aware of this. This order was not served. But more importantly, when you tell the President in your advisory opinion that you have checked and you are satisfied that we have neglected our duty and we do not want to pass, yet the government printers has printed Senate Bill number 16 of 2019, sponsored by Senator Mutula and Senator Faria, coming up for second reading. What are you talking about? You acknowledge that you are going to create a political crisis, yet the simplest homework by your staff has not been done. This is called dereliction of duty, and I have no apologies for you saying you have a constitutional crisis, yet you have not checked. By checking small little things like this, you would not have issued an advisory opinion where you put the President of the Republic of Kenya in a position where he has no option other than to disagree. But what is even worse, the role of the Chief Justice, Jeff Koinange, in a matter like this one is administrative. When the Chief Justice writes an advisory opinion and says that I have decided I will not exchange correspondence with the speakers.
Yeah.
Why did you get to a position where you have to decide things? Your work was to transmit. The people who were supposed to make the decision as to whether there is the declaration or the declaratory order that you talk about has not been complied with is the High Court. But Jeff, what is even worse is this.
That's a good point.
Justice Mativo issues an order.
Oh, he's changing batteries. Okay.
And the order says within 60 days of March 2017, comply. He issues that order to Speaker Muturi. It says the order was given to the speakers at the time. Now, as the Chief Justice, I would have expected him to make a finding as to whether that order, which he says was transmitted, but is not the transmission of IEBC, is binding on the 12th Parliament.
Okay.
Yet at that time,
hold that thought,
Senator Sakaja and I in the Senate have not been given an opportunity to say something.
Okay, hold that thought, Senator Sakaja.
It is so sad.
Did we put the cart before the horse here, Senator Sakaja?
There was no cart and there's no horse.
You can see Senator Mutula is very passionate about this.
Yes.
But what he's saying is absolute truth. It's the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Jeff, once members are elected, and I support, I want to say categorically, I support women in leadership. In fact, we have a he for she movement of male members who've been in support of the 2/3 gender rule, even in the last parliament, and others are not. Jeff, you will not coerce the MP of Makueni or the MP of Lamu, wherever, once he comes to parliament, to make a decision in one way or another, because he is exercising a sovereign mandate from the people to actually come and vote. You can vote yes, you can vote no, or you can abstain. Jeff, if you look at 261, which says that some laws must be passed within a certain timeline, they are put in the schedule of the Constitution, the 5th schedule. In the 5th schedule, Jeff, you will not find any law called 2/3 gender rule. In fact, the closest is a law saying how do we ensure that youth, marginalized, and women get elected, and that is from Article 100 of the Constitution. Jeff, one of the frontiers of it is political parties, and the Political Parties Act being strengthened is one of the solutions. Jeff, I remember when I used to be a big guy in this country many years ago, when I was chairman of TNA.
Yeah.
And as chair of TNA, I remember that time, and the president was very clear that we must make sure we have nomination rules that prevent anybody who uses violence or intimidation or tries to discourage women from vying. And it was very clear in TNA that if you would do such a thing, especially in our safe seats, I would disqualify you. And I was a very tough chair. Jeff, I'm proud that out of the 16 women in the last parliament who were elected to single-member constituencies, who fought it out with men, half of them, 8, you remember Alice Wahome, Alice Nganga, Mary Wambui, we had Peris Tobiko, we had Cecily Mbarire, 8 of them, Naomi Shaban, were elected on a single party. Some of these things can be solved through party primaries where they have their safe seats. But Jeff, if you bring that law again in the National Assembly, there's no guarantee that it will pass, because you will not coerce an MP to vote a certain way. If it was to be provided for specifically in the Constitution, that is what we should have done. And we've seen it. Since 2013, the National Assembly has never garnered 2/3 on any vote, any single vote, even to increase their salary. It has never happened. Jeff, the Senate has not had a chance to pronounce itself on that matter. So we need to see. I mean, if Chief Justice Maraga truly believes in that principle, then he should first disband the Supreme Court, which doesn't have 2/3. He should disband the Court of Appeal, which doesn't have 2/3. And those are appointive. He's the chairman of the Judicial Service Commission that appoints judges. He's the chairman of the JSC that actually makes the decision. This other angle is elective. We can't tell Kenyans that in Dandora, in Embakasi North, you must select a woman or you must elect a man. In this constituency, you must elect this gender. It is Kenyans who make that sovereign decision. So I think if Mutula agrees that there is a horse at least and a cat, the cat was put miles ahead of the horse, and the horse is now trying to gallop to catch up with that cat, Jeff.
Gentlemen, let's switch gears right now, real quick. And talk about, you want to say something, Senator?
Jeff.
Yeah.
Yes, Jeff. Just to paraphrase what Senator Sakaja said in maybe a sentence. In Schedule 5, Article 81B is not included in the schedule that would give rise to the provisions of Article 261, 6 and 7. That's what he's simply saying. Now, this is what the Chief Justice said in his advisory opinion. He says, I should, pursuant to the provisions of Article 216.7, advise you to dissolve Parliament, as Parliament has not advised me whether or not it had passed the representation of special groups laws, which is under Article 600, under the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2019. I therefore decided not to engage in further correspondence. You're talking about dissolving a county. The President of the Supreme Court was not sure at the time he was writing this letter whether the information he was conveying here is correct. I'm shocked.
Kenya, there's never a dull day in this country, Jeff.
No, there isn't. You know what, Senator Sakaja? You're right when you say that, because your own party today, and I'll take a break and come back to this, your own party, your Secretary General held a press conference saying that Jubilee was going to support the ODM candidate Msambweni. Deputy President runs in a little late. He stands in. I mean, goodness gracious me, what's happening in your party, man? It's gone nuts.
Tulikuwa pamoja.
Mutula, don't start. Do I answer that now or after?
After. I want to know, what's that about? Jubilee? Oh, my goodness, you can't make this stuff up. Keep tweeting at Koinange Jeff. At Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag is JKLive. Sponsored by KCB Bank. KCB, go ahead. Back in a moment.